recently the Better Business Bureau sharing with us that a small business filed a scam tracker report. They had lost money to a fake invoice from a government agency. Imposter, that's the key word there, imposter. Josh Planos with the BBB joins us right now. Josh, this is a recurring issue for small businesses being victims of scams. This is just, I feel like, one instance of what could happen to them.
Without a doubt, Keith, these scams are particularly effective because of a lack of awareness, generally speaking, about how invoice processing works. The prevalence, of course, of automated processes. So anytime you get something that's maybe not according to plan, that provides urgency and creates fear for the victim in question, that's always a disastrous recipe. And sadly, the makeup of a lot of scams that we monitor. But yes, anytime somebody sends you an invoice, it should be inspected. You shouldn't just assume that because it says invoice in the attachment that everything is going according to plan. Scammers are very good at weeding out you know real opportunities from fake action essentially. So they know what it is that people are invoiced about, how to get people to make knee-jerk reactions, and sadly how to make away with that money.
Yeah, well, you kind of lay out kind of what happened with this. I know that that was just kind of a brief overview of what happened to this small business. I guess what kind of happened to them? Can you share any details of what that invoice looked like?
Yeah, so the invoice looked exactly like one would expect for some IT support. IT in particular is something that many small businesses outsource. So it is, probably a good guess to assume that small businesses are providing invoices or signing off on invoices for cybersecurity infrastructure and all manner of IT activity. So what happened was that they received a communication that alleged that it was from a government agency that was providing back end support for the IT company in question. And anytime a government agency is involved, typically folks have a habit of moving a little bit quicker, not unlike scammers impersonating law enforcement. Everyone loves a badge, and that badge typically gets people to act quickly. So as soon as the small business owner in question saw that there was a government agency involved, they immediately approved payment. And that money sadly went into the hands of someone who did not represent a government agency and was in fact just merely trying to scam that company out of its hard-earned money.
Josh, were they able to get their money back from filing this report?
So it's still too early to tell. Obviously, an investigation is ongoing. The mode of payment, which I believe we talk about pretty regularly, is really important here. If you pay for, say, a product, a good, or service with a credit card, you can dispute those charges a lot easier than you can if you're wiring money, which in my understanding of this case in particular, a wire transfer was involved. So it's very, very difficult to ever see that money again. But the investigation is ongoing at this time. And the hope is, right, that something positive can come out of something that is at its root so overwhelmingly negative.
I guess, do you have any tips for small business owners, but also anyone that may be, a victim of government? I know that kind of falling for those intimidation tactics.
Yeah, you want to make sure that again you're staying as level-headed as you can, regardless of what email you receive, right? And as basic as that sounds, that is a really good place to start, and certainly would have served this victim well. Doing a little bit of research on whether that government agency in question even provides back-end support to IT vendors, but also this is an opportunity for I think all small businesses to evaluate and recognize how real invoices are delivered. Scammers are really good at imitating companies that businesses actually transact with, but you want to make sure how legitimate billing processes work. Wire transfer, for instance, pretty rare, pretty atypical request for a small business for payment, especially for IT support. Not being easily intimidated is something that we should all stress. Scammers love using those intimidation tactics, like you mentioned, Keith, to make you pay without that second thought. They try to make this as easy as possible, right? You just have to click on this button to pay, just like you would with a normal invoice. However, slowing things down, not giving into that intimidation, however implicit, is essential. And then I think this is also an opportunity for small businesses to create procedures for inspecting incoming invoices. If you have a small group of employees that handle purchases, bill pay, shipments, you can create a process whereby employees can check that products and services were ordered and delivered before they pay an invoice, and at the very least, run the decision by a cohort of peers before you ultimately pay for something that may not be real.
Yeah, and I think that's leading into that next part that I was going to ask. What if you don't? What if you are a small business and it's just you? I guess, are there any tools out there for someone to look out for, and maybe in an email headline, or I don't know if anything gets mailed to you specifically either?
Yeah, you're going to really need to understand what those processes look like if you are one man banding billing, marketing, any department, right? But essentially, with billing, you want to make sure that you understand what that process looks like. The minute you sign up with a vendor, ask certain questions about, what can I expect on a monthly basis, or is it quarterly, or is it annually? What are the terms and conditions? Who is a good point of contact at this company for me to reach out to if I have questions? So often, we feel like we can't get in touch with the company in question and as a result make decisions that we otherwise wouldn't. It's imperative that we have a line of communication with our vendors in 2024. You need
Yeah.
to be able to run those decisions by because you really don't know if that communication is authentic.
Yeah, Josh, how often would you say this happens to small businesses? Would you say it's more frequent than, I guess, larger corporations?
It really does span the spectrum. We do see it a lot more at the end of the year, just because of the way that the budgeting cycle works. In October, there are a lot of folks who are creating their budgets for the upcoming year, and maybe are less likely to give that invoice, a second glance. But we do see it year round. Of course, we're in the month of March, so we have seen it locally and lately. I would say that this is more typical though because of how easy it is now to create a fake invoice in ways that 5, 10 years ago would have been a lot more complicated. It's a challenge to be sure, but it's something that we all need to be aware of moving forward.
Yeah, Josh, where can people, I guess, go to find out these tips of looking for those specific marks, maybe in an email or a letter?
Yeah, so if you go to bbb.org/scam tips, we have a lot of helpful information there on a lot of different varieties of scams. I like to say that, a lot of the through lines of scams are consistent, and that they put the victim under pressure. They make you act quickly, and that they indicate that you shouldn't reach out to anybody for support. That's why we have a whole landing page, though, dedicated to supporting consumers. We want you to know that you can go and find answers to your questions before you make any of those decisions. But certainly, if you have sadly experienced a scam, we encourage you to report that to bbb.org/scam tracker. You have a chance to get that money back, and you want to make sure that someone else can be protected from going through what you did.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for joining us this morning, Josh. Of course, those tips we'll have on our website. Thank you, Josh. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.